Yo, what is going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact sales funnel that I use for my reselling business to go from $0 a month to 6 months later making over $15,000 per month. This is going to be a super valuable video for you guys to watch, especially because you have been sold a lie that you need to be reselling on marketplace apps, that you can make 10K a month selling fucking AirPods on Facebook, selling on eBay, selling on Depop. When to be honest, the system that I'm going to show you in this video is much easier to get to your first $10,000 a month. And it may look complicated at first, but don't worry, I'm going to break it all down for you. And by the end of the video, not only will you have an understanding for this funnel and how you can actually go ahead and start and implement it for yourself, but you will have actionable steps that you can actually follow to make your first 10K using this. So with that being said, I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time in the intro. As y'all can see, we're in the new penthouse, man. We're out in Arizona. We're fucking locked the fuck in. And I want to make this video to help you guys lock in as well. So we're not going to waste any time. And we're going to get straight into the video. Now, in order to not only understand this funnel, but actually be able to implement it, we have to understand the 4 core steps. Now, those 4 core steps are product selection, getting traffic to your page, creating a sales mechanism that actually converts, and then turning those traffic and that sales mechanism into something that is actually scalable and is going to make you $10,000 consistently every single month. Now, these are pretty much the 4 core pillars to building any good reselling business on social media. And you guys need to actually have a very, very comprehensive understanding of every single one if you actually want to be successful with your reselling business. Now, the first thing that I'm going to go over is product selection. Now, product selection is super, super, super important because it is basically the foundation of your business. If you do not choose the right products, if you do not choose the right medium, it doesn't really matter what else you do. You are not going to be at the highest potential that you possibly could be. Now, as you guys know, there are a bunch of different resellers who sell, digital products, they sell physical products, and they sell a bunch of different things. And it probably makes it very, very hard for you to kind of understand for yourself what you should actually be selling, especially on social media. Now, there are a few different routes you can go. You can go the digital product route, or you can kind of go more of the physical product route. Now, with digital products, they're going to be pretty low ticket. They're going to be, those vendor links that you guys see that are, $20, $10, $15. They're going to be low ticket. They're going to be generally useful, meaning that everybody kind of in the reselling space can find some sort of value in them. But in order to sell these and actually make a lot of money, you have to have some sort of unique marketing angle because everybody's selling this shit and you need to have a way to differentiate yourself, right? It's super easy to generate sales if you understand these 3 things. However, there isn't much potential for like upsells. There isn't much potential for recurring customers and actually building a business that is generating you guaranteed money, meaning that you're going to need more customers in order to make more money. Now, you can also go the physical products route. I'll get into which one I kind of think is best after I go over kind of the pros and cons of each one. All right. So physical products, you have to make sure that the products that you guys are actually selling are in demand and they have a high marketability. Now, the reason why I say this is because you can sell products that aren't necessarily super in demand. Like, for example, you can sell AirPods, but you need to know how to market them, right? If there's a super, super high demand for a product, the less marketing you're going to have to do. But if everybody is selling this shit, you're going to have to learn how to actually go ahead and market them. Now, another thing that you guys have to consider is the profit margin, especially because if you are selling physical products on social media, you're most likely going to be buying them for low and then selling them for low as well, because you want to be supplying these people and you want to make sure that not only does your customer have a high profit margin, but you also do as well. So if you have a product that is in demand, has a high margin and a high marketability, it's a good product that you should probably sell. Now, with physical products, you're going to have less sales volume. You're not going to get the same amount of orders every single day compared to a digital product. However, a few high quality bulk buyers who continue to buy from you week after week, month after month is going to make you the same, if not more money than selling digital products to hundreds of customers on some low ticket bullshit. All right. But for either one, whether you sell digital, whether you sell physical, you need to have some sort of unique mechanism. You yourself need to be a unique asset. You cannot do the same shit as every other reseller. You cannot be the same, share the same information, have the fucking exact same content. You need to stand out in this industry, especially because a lot of these resellers don't know what they're doing. They're brain dead. If you copy everybody else, the people who literally give this space a bad rap, you are no better than them, and they're just kind of going to group you in that category, and it's going to fuck up your business. All right. Now, which one would I personally recommend if I were starting? I would definitely recommend selling physical products when you're starting. Now, the reason why I say this is because you want to actually learn how to resell. All right. You want to know how to resell if you're going to post on social media and act like you know what you're doing. You actually got to walk the walk, right? You can't just talk about this shit. Especially because a lot of resellers who are selling vendor links, who are only selling digital products, who don't have any sort of supplier channel, who aren't selling any physical products, literally have zero inventory, bro. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then they start a mentorship and they can't help you, and then you lose your money. You don't want to be one of those people. You want to learn how to actually resell. So start selling physical products. This is going to be much more kind of teaching you also how to actually build a real business as opposed to digital products in terms of how to manage inventory, how to, have good customer service, how to generate monthly recurring revenue. These are foundational skills that you're going to need for the rest of your life. So you might as well learn them now. And like kind of once you start to get an idea of reselling, you start to become good at it, you start to get views, then go ahead and sell digital products. It's not a bad thing. Selling vendor links is not bad. However, I think that you kind of need to be at a certain echelon or a certain um level to actually go ahead and do it, in kind of good faith, right? Now that you understand, what product you should be selling, how you should be selling your products, how do you actually get views and traffic to your products, right? And this is one of the most important things and what a lot of people struggle with content, right? So what you guys are going to do is you guys are not going to sell on Depop, you're not going to sell on Facebook, you're not going to sell on OfferUp or eBay. You're going to sell on these three platforms, right? Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. Now, believe it or not, it is simpler than you think to get traffic. It might not be easy, but it is 100% simple, right? You don't need to be different. You don't need to set a trend. You don't need to, make some fucking crazy outlandish videos. All you need to do is find things that already work and simply do the exact same thing. When I stopped trying to be different and I stopped trying to make all this, fucking weird, different type of content. I just locked in on things that had already worked, and I kind of understood that that's what I needed to do. That's when my page got more traction. That's when I started making more sales. So literally, just type in popular keywords in the search bar, find viral reselling content ideas, and just copy that shit, bro. Another thing that you can do is make a brand new account on Instagram and only go on this for content research. So search up like hashtag reselling, follow a bunch of resellers, follow a bunch of people in the e-commerce space, like a bunch of videos, fucking share them, like repost them on just like this burner account. And then whenever you go on that account, all the videos are just going to be straight reselling, right? This is just going to be your content research account. And this is something you can do as well, to do research. Because sometimes if you're looking for content ideas, you might find yourself doom scrolling and it's going to mess up your feed and it's going to take more time. So even just having a separate account for content research, and finding those viral content ideas so you can get traffic to your page and make sales is going to be super, super valuable. Now, like I said before, you do not need to be original on short form content. You really don't. The point of content, especially when you first start, is just to get as many eyeballs to your page as possible and then use other mechanisms to actually go ahead and nurture and convert your audience. So for example, one thing that is super, super valuable is story posts, right? A lot of people underrate this. But this is how you are actually going to take, all of your non-original content ideas, all of your kind of cookie cutter content ideas, and actually build a personal brand behind your page is going to be stories, right? So build personable relationships with your audience, right? So whether that's showing your lifestyle, whether that's actually just picking up the camera and making just raw videos of insights and tips that cross your mind, whether it's doing like Q&As or polls or anything where you can actually go ahead and interact with your audience and show that you actually care about them and you actually, give a shit about their success and what they're doing, whether that's showing social proof, showing wins to build up your trust, whether that's like doing story sequences and sharing value, and then having some sort of call to action to your sales mechanism, which I'll get to later. Stories are super, super valuable. Stories basically bridge the gap between you being just a random reseller on the internet, just making the same videos as everybody else versus actually having a real brand and having people genuinely know, like, and trust you. Another thing that you guys need to implement somewhere in your page, somewhere in your branding, is having some sort of unique mechanism. One of the reasons why I signed on with my current mentor is because he had a unique mechanism that I really fucked with, and I saw that he wasn't just an everyday fucking reseller, right? You need to be able to separate yourself from the crowd by taking a unique marketing angle, right? So you need to basically think about, okay, what are what do all these resellers believe? What is some common thing that I just know is fucking bullshit that I can just shatter, I can take a different angle on, and I can kind of get people to start aligning with my vision or aligning with me as a person, right? So use your lifestyle, your personality, your knowledge, and your own personal story as well to separate yourself from everybody else. And that's what's actually going to go ahead and make you stand out and make people want to buy from you as opposed to the next person. Because when people buy, whether that's your products, whether that's your vendor links, yes, they're buying from your business, yes, they're buying from your store, but when you are making content on social media, they're not just buying from your store, they're buying from you as a person. They see you on the other side of the screen and they say, okay, should I buy from this person, not from this website, not from this fucking company, this reselling company? All right, it's not like that. It's, should I buy from this person, right? So you need to genuinely be somebody that people know, like, and trust. And I think that is really, really, really valuable. And just to kind of give you guys a very, very kind of brief, I guess, explanation on kind of how content works and how the sales process works, it's kind of structured. I'll draw it out a little bit. It's kind of structured in a triangle, right? So what you want to do is you want to picture a triangle, right? And what this triangle is it is called a funnel. Now, the reason why it's basically like an upside down triangle is because there's more people at the top than there is at the bottom. At the very, very top is where people see you. They see your reel, they see your post, they see your viral content idea. And then out of those people, a percentage of them goes to whether that's your story, whether that is your communities, and basically where you're getting these people to know you, to like you, to trust you. They see your wins, they see, vouchers, whatever that might be. And then out of those people, a percentage decide to buy. And you cannot have a functioning funnel if one of the processes is out of hand. And that's why I'm telling you, you need to post viral content, but then you also need to actually go ahead and turn those views into kind of warm leads that are actually going to go ahead and want to buy from you. And the way that you do that is by having a unique mechanism, having an actual story behind your brand, and being a person that people genuinely know, like, and trust, rather than just another random reseller on the internet. Now, once you kind of understand this aspect of traffic and kind of how it works, how to get views, and how to kind of start to convert those views into sales, what is the actual mechanism that you should be using to sell these people, right? Now, there are a lot of different things you can do. You can do Snapchat sales, you can do, payment links, you can do websites, and I'll kind of give you guys my opinion on kind of every single sales channel that I've personally used, and what I think would be best for you, especially if you're a beginner trying to run this social media reselling funnel and make your first $10,000 with it, right? Now, the main three that people are going to use in this funnel is going to be some sort of community, so whether that's Discord or Telegram, or they're going to use a website like Shopify. Now, if you're selling digital products, you're selling links, go on Shopify. This is this is just the website that you go on to sell digital products. You can use Gumroad or like some other bullshit if you want to, but Shopify is basically going to be number one. Now, you can also bulk supply on Shopify, and you can make a lot of money doing this. When I was bulk supplying on Shopify, I was making a lot of money, but it was outlived because you run a very, very high risk of your store getting taken down because you're selling one-on-one products. You're selling, non-brand authorized products. It's very, very likely that Shopify is going to realize this, and they're going to take your store down and possibly even, lock your payments. Now, the great thing about Shopify is, hypothetically, if you don't get your store shut down, it's going to have a much higher conversion rate usually. In my experience from, running like a community or anything like that, it's going to be a lot easier because people can literally just go on your website, click add to cart or click buy, and then you can look on your order fulfillment page, and then you can just go ahead and ship the orders, right? Whereas on Discord and Telegram, you have to message people, you have to answer questions, you have to, kind of manually fulfill the orders, but you're actually building a long-term business model, right? Because you are not just selling people on a store, but you're also getting them to be a part of your community, which once again helps your brand. It's all kind of a part of a cycle, right? You need to picture this as a cycle, right? You get views, you build community, you get sales, that community grows even more, and it just keeps going and going and going, basically like a wheel, right? It's going to be really, really hard to get that wheel to start pushing, to start going forward. But once you do, if you do a good job at it, it's just going to keep spinning, and you're going to make a lot of money doing this, right? Like I said, bulk supplying on community apps helps you make sales while building a long-term business model. However, it's more work for you to respond to messages, but you can easily outsource this. It's not hard at all. And if you have a good setup, you can have probably a much better conversion rate than something like a website if you actually do it right. Now, the one thing that I can say that is a common denominator between these two kind of different mechanisms is you need to flood your you need to flood your platforms with social proof and reviews. So whether this is a wins channel, whether this is a section of your store, the more views you get, the more people are going to buy. So stack fucking reviews, stack social proof. And that's going to really increase the conversion rate and make it so whenever somebody actually goes on these channels and sees those wins, they're going to be much, much more likely to buy. So now we understand the views, we understand the sales. How do we actually scale, right? Maybe we're making two, three, four, five, maybe even $6,000 a month. How do we get that to 10K a month and actually create a real sustainable business behind what we're doing? Now, it's actually a very, very simple equation when it comes to scaling, but it is more than meets the eye, right? In order to scale, all you need is views and systems, and that is going to help you scale. More eyeballs and more systems, and that is going to help you scale. Now, you're probably wondering, Braden, what the hell is a system and why do you need it? Well, as you get more views, as you get more traffic, as you get more sales, the same things that you do at $2,000 a month is not going to be sustainable at $10,000 a month. So the point of systems is to not only add structure behind your business, but also free up low skill, brokey tasks that you don't necessarily need to do to focus on the things that only you can do, right? Only you can post the best content for your page and for your brand possible. Somebody else can fucking answer your messages. Somebody else can track your data. Somebody else can even fulfill your orders. Like if you guys know fucking Tool Duke, he has a whole, he doesn't even touch, all he does is literally make content. Honestly, I don't even know what the fuck he does because he doesn't even post, but all he does is make content. He has a whole order fulfillment team. He has all fucking virtual assistants literally just selling AirPods, right? And just hearing that alone should open you up to just how much of an iceberg reselling really is. Like you would never think that somebody has a fucking order fulfillment team, has a whole fucking warehouse, has fucking people running their entire fucking messages. If you're a beginner in reselling, you would never think that, but that is the reality of how this shit goes, and it goes a lot deeper than you think. So you actually need to copy what these people are doing and build systems behind your views, behind your content, behind your skills, or behind your sales. So that way your business doesn't actually go ahead and fall apart. Once you start to see a little bit of success, once you start to see a little bit of growth, you need to be able to sustain that, right? Now, the three levers that I would pull if I were starting to actually go ahead and scale up, and I wanted to make sure that I can actually sustain my success, is outsourcing, reinvesting, and actually automating certain things, right? So with outsourcing, the first thing that I would personally outsource, and one thing that I'm working on right now personally, is your like messages. So if you have a sales mechanism on Telegram or Discord, or even need help answering your Instagram DMs, it is very, very easy for somebody to go into your DMs, learn a little bit about your business, and then go ahead and answer your messages for you, right? That is the first thing that I would outsource because it just takes too much time. It's not, if you're making $6, $7, $8, $10,000 a month, you can be doing so much better shit with your time. And that's one thing that I'm personally working on now and is really going to help my business as well. And I want to share it with you guys because I think that it can help a lot of you guys as well. So any kind of things that you are doing throughout your day that aren't necessarily going to help you by doing it, it's not necessarily going to make your business more money, in at least a way that somebody else can't do for you, then you should outsource it, right? Because me personally, I would much rather outsource everything that I don't need to do right now. This is something that I'm going to actually start doing very, very soon, is outsourcing everything that I don't need to do, even if it means not taking a whole lot of profit. And then once I'm actually getting more views, once you get more content, it's literally just the system's already built out, and it's just literally easy fucking free money, basically. And another thing that you guys need to do is investing more into your business, right? So whether this is ads, whether this is more products, right? If you guys are selling, or buying like 50 AirPods a week or 50 AirPods a month, and you want to sell more fucking AirPods, buy more AirPods, bro. Like, this is a trap that I see 99% of fucking resellers get into, and it's always the ones who stay unsuccessful and stay broke for months and months and months on end. They order the same products, they do the same things, they take the same actions, and that's why they're making the same amount of money. So do not be afraid, especially if you're only making 1 or 2 or 3K a month. What the fuck is $1,000 going to do for you in your life? It's not going to do anything. So even if you blow that $1,000 and you lose all your fucking money on inventory, at least you tried, bro. But you need to actually reinvest your money into your business, because that 1,000 could easily turn into $3, $4, $5,000, and that is literally going to help you 5x your growth rather than just staying in the same spot as you were last month, the same spot you were last year, because you weren't willing to invest a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra money into your business. Now, the last thing that I would go ahead and actually use as a system is automations. Now, with automations, you don't have to think about it as like, oh, like some crazy like robot AI shit, because that's what I used to think about it. Simply, all this means is basically being able to do things easier than you are right now. So like, for example, bro, this could even be considered an automation. Like if you are fucking going and shipping out orders on a normal printer and you're fucking cutting out the labels and taping them together, or you're fucking going to UPS and buying the fucking labels there, buy a label printer. That's going to save you time. Automations are literally just anything that is going to save you time, going to save you money, going to save you stress. And that's what you need to think about, right? How can you do the things that you are doing right now, but simply do them easier? All the things that somebody else cannot do for you, you need to make them as easy as fucking possible, right? That way that you can actually focus on the hard things and put your effort into that, instead of making easy things hard, which doesn't really make any fucking sense. So make things as easy as possible, make things as streamlined as possible, whether that's like sending automated messages, whether that's automating like order fulfillment to a certain degree, like having some sort of automated, data tracking sheet. Anything that you can do that is not as simple as it can possibly be right now, you need to make it simpler, you need to make it easier, because that is what's going to help you scale. Now we covered systems. That is the hard part, right? That is kind of the part that is a little bit harder to understand. Holy fucking stutter. But the second part of this scaling equation is obviously your traffic, your eyeballs, right? You don't need these systems if you don't have, a lot of views, and if you're not actually making a lot of money. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't build them out before you're at that point, because I think that you absolutely should. You should always be over prepared, but they're no use if you don't actually follow the other end of the equation. Right now, you're probably wondering, okay, Braden, well, how do I just magically get more views? How do I just magically scale? Well, I mean, it's really, really easy, because if you're at a point where you're thinking about, how do I get from 6,000 a month to $10,000 or $15,000 a month, that probably means that you've seen at least a little bit of success, right? Now, the thing is, especially when you're not making a lot of money, the little gold nuggets you find, the little gems of success, are the things that are going to make the biggest impact, right? So if you see a little bit of success, you see a content style that is providing you a little bit more sales, or a little bit more views, or a little bit more conversion than all the other ones, you need to double down on it, right? So all the things that you do that are kind of working right now, if you double down on it and double your volume, double your effort, they're going to work exponentially, and that is what's actually going to help you get eyeballs. And once you actually have these eyeballs, you find the things that are already slightly working for you and just basically brute force them to make them really, really work for you. Then you can go ahead and use those nurturing mechanisms, use your stories, use your unique mechanism to turn those into sales. And then it's just a cycle of success. You get more views, you get people on your page, you get them in your sales mechanism, you build systems around it. Those sales turn into reviews. Those nurture more people that you're bringing to your page. You're making more content, getting more data, you're making more sales, and it's just a cycle. All you need to do is just push that wheel forward a little bit. That's why a lot of you guys aren't willing to start. You're not willing to put up the upfront effort. You're not willing to put in work for literally 3 to 6 months, bro. Because I was fucking dead broke 6 months ago. I was making zero sales, literally zero sales a day. And now, bro, I'm in my fucking dream penthouse at 17 years old, bro. I did not complain. I did not make excuses and ask myself, why is this happening to me? I simply had a situation. I understood where I was kind of at, and I acted upon that situation in order to get to my fucking dream penthouse, bro. So stop making excuses. Stop thinking you can't do this, because after you watch this video, you should realize that this is not fucking hard, bro. I literally think that I explained this to you in the most easy way possible that probably a kindergartner can understand. So if you can't understand this video and you can't actually apply it, then reselling and business probably isn't for you, and you should just go get a 9 to 5. But like I said, this is the exact funnel. This is the exact 4 key pillars: traffic, sales mechanism, scaling, right? and product selection, product selection, traffic, sales mechanism, and scaling that I personally used to go from being dead broke 6 months ago, making no sales, to making over $15,000 a month and living in my dream penthouse at only 17 years old. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys want to learn more about kind of how to resell, you want more tips, and you want a community of over 600 dedicated members to not only help you on your reselling journey, but to also just be there whenever you need, share insights, whatever it might be, I'll leave the link to my Discord down below. You're going to get a bunch of free tools, a bunch of free resources, and there's honestly no reason why you guys shouldn't join. As well as that, I'm running a $1,000 giveaway right now where you guys can literally win $1,000 in cash prizes, free vendors, free mentorships, and I'll leave the link to that giveaway down below because it is completely free to enter and there is no reason why you shouldn't take action on this. Especially if you're broke and you literally have no money to start reselling, winning this $500 or these $250 could literally change your life and actually help you apply all the things that I teach you in this YouTube video. So instead of watching from the sidelines, you can actually be one of those people making money. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys actually go ahead and take action on this because you can watch as many YouTube videos as you want. You can watch as many fucking BK Supply short form content reels as you want, but if you do not actually go ahead and take action, you're never fucking going to be successful. So I genuinely hope you guys take action. I genuinely hope that I did a good enough job to providing you value and actually giving you actionable steps to do this so you can go ahead and make money with this social media reselling funnel. With that being said, I appreciate you guys watching this video, and BK Supply out.